Star Citizen is an ambitious project more than a decade in the making, and it is still being developed right in front of our eyes. While the alpha seams are often visible, this game has captured the imagination and amazement of thousands of people. As a player, you become part of a living, breathing universe filled with wonder, danger, and opportunity. Every Star Citizen pilot starts somewhere: a single ship, a handful of credits, and a dream. If you're new here, welcome. Star Citizen can feel completely overwhelming at first, but its scale is part of what makes it special. Every system, every sunrise, every mission is an adventure waiting for you to live it. This updated guide is set up to basically be your first flight plan. We'll go step by step through everything you need to know to start your journey strong, confident, and ready to explore. I'll take you from the very beginning, from selecting your starter ship to spawning for the first time, gearing up, flying, completing intro contracts, and surviving your first hours in the verse. It's divided into sections or chapters, each covering a key part of your initial journey. You can follow along with me straight from the start to the finish, pausing as needed, or use the chapters and links in the video description below to jump to whatever part you need. Whether you're learning all of this for the first time or coming back for a quick refresher, my hope is that this video acts as a powerful resource for those new to the game and those returning after some time away. Also, if you have not yet created your Star Citizen account on the Roberts Space Industries website, you can do so for free today. Please consider using my referral code on the screen and available as a link in the video description below. This will provide you with a little extra starting money once you decide to buy your first game package and jump into the verse with your starter ship. However you choose to explore, this is your flight path to becoming a confident citizen. So strap in, pilot, get settled in, and let's set course for your first adventure in the Star Citizen universe. All right, let's get started. First of all, I want to show you how you actually get the game, and I want to walk through some of the starter packs. So you go to robertsspaceindustries.com, and when you're on the home page, you'll see some of the current promotions that are going on, or the featured items. To get the game, you're going to go to shop, and from here you'll see several promotions that they currently have going on, but we're going to not look at that right now. We're going to click all products and then Star Citizen starter packs. This will take you to the various starter ship packages that currently exist, and this changes every once in a while from time to time. It just changed recently when the new Aurora Mark II came into the game. And then every once in a while they run promotional sales on some of the starter packs. So you can see there's a current sale going on. This $75 this is just a regular Drake Golem package, is normally $75 as a game package, but is currently on sale. The Aurora is currently on sale, and so on. So these will change out and might not be what you see when you go look at it today. But this is what I'm seeing at the time of recording, and I do want to spend a few minutes walking through each of these to help you decide which starter ship might be best for you. We're going to skip this whole pack down here. I don't recommend this for new players at all. So we'll just go through them top to bottom, left to right. So first of all, this is the Drake Golem. Now I'll use it as an example here, that when you open this up, you'll see what it includes. It includes one vehicle, so one ship, which is in this case the Drake Golem, which is a mining ship, a small little starter miner. I actually love the Drake Golem. And because it's on a promotional sale right now, it also includes some additional things that aren't normally included, like a Keystone paint, which is the white and blue paint for the ship, several different gear items, like the armor that it's showing, 24-month insurance. Ship insurance isn't really in the game yet. We're starting to see some hints at it in the future, but isn't really in play right now. Self-land hangar just means you've got a persistent hangar at your home location. Starting money, so this will start you out with 20,000 UEC, which is the credits, the money in the game. If you use a referral code like mine, you will have more than this. And then the Star Citizen digital download. So this is the game itself. So to get the game, you do need to buy a starter pack. And so let's walk through these different ships. So the Drake Golem is a single seat ship that does not have a ship interior, but is a mining ship. It specializes in only mining. Of course, you can use it to go do other things like bunkers and whatnot, but it does not do well in combat. It does not have a ship interior or a bed. So if you are very interested in the mining aspect of Star Citizen, this could be a good starter ship for you. The next one is the RSI Aurora Mark II. This is a new ship. It is a new version of an old original ship called the Aurora. The Aurora still exists and used to be one of the starter packs, but has been replaced as a starter package ship by the Mark II. I actually love this ship. It surprised a lot of us when it came to the game. It's very, very cool, and is the ship that I'm going to be using throughout this starter guide. So I do like this. I think it is, I'm not going to say it's the best starter ship, but it's a contender for the best and is right up there with them. It's an amazing ship. It can do a lot of things. It can do basic small scale combat. It does have a small interior with a bed, as you'll see in this video. It has all of its component pass. So it is a phenomenal ship, and I do actually highly recommend this. It can do cargo, it can do combat, it can do a lot of things. So this is a very good starter ship. There's the generalist starter ship, which is the Drake Cutter. The Cutter is an old-time favorite, so a lot of people have a lot of sentiment around this ship, and a lot of people still use it. It's a good ship as well. Can carry a little bit of cargo. It can't really do combat. It does have some weapons, as you can see, but they're very small weapons, so it's not a combat ship necessarily, but it's a good for bunker runs and just getting around the verse. So it's a good solid starter ship as well. Not too many negative things about the ship that I'd say. The next one is the RSI Salvation. This is a salvager, so similar to the Golem being a mining specialty ship, the Salvation is a salvage specialty ship. Single seat, no interior, not a combat ship by any stretch of the imagination, but is able to go out and scrape what we call RMC off of abandoned ships or damaged ships. So this is salvage is a very popular and fun, relaxing game loop, and this one specializes in that. So it can make RMC and construction materials at a small scale. It's basically the entry-level salvage ship. It can carry 6 SEU of cargo, so it can technically do small cargo missions as well, just like the Cutter and just like the Aurora. So salvage specialty. Then we've got the Duelist starter pack. This is the Aegis Avenger Titan. This is the one that I would actually say is the best starter ship. When the Aurora came in, I thought maybe this one beats the Avenger out, but I'm gonna say the Avenger still holds that title in my opinion, and I think the opinion of many others. It is an old ship. It's, in my opinion, desperately in need of an update. It needs its components pass and everything, but it does have a ship interior, it does have a bed, it can do cargo, and unlike the Aurora, it can carry boxes larger than 1 or 2 SEU. It can carry a 4 SEU box. So it can also carry some of the very small ground vehicles. So this is a very solid starter ship. It's got a little bit more firepower, so this one actually does very well in a lot of combat scenarios, and is a very fast ship. So if you've got a little bit more extra money that you want to spend in the $75 range for your starter pack compared to, a $60 base pack, as you see with these two, the Titan is a fantastic choice. The Crusader Intrepid is another one. It kind of, I don't know, it makes me chuckle that it's the hauler one, just because it carries the same amount maxed out cargo as the Aurora and as the Titan. I believe the Titan can also do 8. And so we've, I don't know why it's necessarily the hauler. I don't think of it as a cargo hauler, but it's a good all-around ship. I would recommend you look at the Intrepid as a good little runabout ship. It's got a single large weapon on it. It is not a combat ship at all. but it does a great job running around to different locations and doing bunkers and whatnot, exploring the verse. It can do a little bit of cargo. It has a really cool interior, actually. A really neat little apartment with inside. It is asymmetric, so a lot of people don't like that about it, but it's a unique ship, and I do like it. I just wouldn't recommend it over some of the other ones. Then there is the Outsiders. This is the Skulin. It is an alien ship, and so it's very unique compared to all of the rest of these. I actually hardly ever see these flying around. I don't think very many people use them. But if you like the alien aesthetic in a ship, this could be the starter ship for you. Fair warning with this one though, it does not land the same way the others do. This one lands with its nose pointed up, so you'd be facing straight towards the sky when you land, which can make it very awkward in learning how to fly and land and take off and whatnot. So for somebody who's new to flight games, I don't know that this would be a great choice for you. It can do a little cargo if I remember correctly. Not amazing with combat, but is very unique as an alien ship. Now this one is the most expensive of the starter ships. I'm just realizing right now that the Nomad isn't here anymore. The Nomad used to be listed here if I'm remembering correctly, and it was a great starter ship as well. But this is the Drake Cutlass Black. This is probably one of the most popular ships in the entire game. It is an incredible all-arounder. It technically is classified as a medium fighter, but also can do a lot of cargo. So this has great fighting combat capabilities. It can carry a large amount of SCU of storage on grid. I believe it's 42 SCU, so compared to 8. It can carry small ground vehicles. It has multiple other seats, so there's a pilot seat, a co-pilot seat, and a turret gunner. It has beds. It has side doors on the left and the right, and a ramp in the back. So it's a lot bigger than any of these other ships, really, and can do a lot more. And a lot of people who even have been playing the game for years and years still use their Cutty Black a lot. So if you've got some deeper pockets and you want just one ship that's can kind of really do it all as a starter ship, the Cutty Black is the one to go with. It's a fantastic ship. But again, my choice recommendation for somebody who's new and getting into the game and wants to have a pretty good all-rounder at a price that won't necessarily break the bank would be the Avenger Titan or the Aurora Mark II. If you really want to do only mining as you get started and make your money that way, the Golem would be a good choice. If you really like what you've seen in videos about salvage, then the Salvation could be your choice, even though it can do a little bit of cargo too. So those are my recommendations about starter ships, and I hope that was helpful. But let's jump into the game now. One more thing I want to mention about that is you do not have to buy any other ships with real money ever again, unless you want to and really want to support the project, but the game package is all you need. Now once you get the game and you launch it and go into the game menu, this is what it looks like. So once you have friends added, you'll have a friends list over on the right side. There's an options which takes you through all the game's graphics, audio control settings that you could adjust if you would like. I'd just leave it as stock for now. Arena Commander is like a single player mode that you can test out different ships, and there's a lot of fun things that you can do there. But the real part of the game, the reason that you wanted to download this game and start playing it, is the persistent universe. This is Star Citizen right here. And so we're going to go ahead and click on Persistent Universe. And what this does is first allows you to create your character. So you can either choose a female-based character or a male-based character. I'm going to go ahead and select a male-based character. You can do all sorts of customization to this and adjust a lot of things, or you can just hit randomize like this, and it will randomize different appearances. So let me click through and find something. There's all sorts of customization, like I said, that you can do. You can adjust things. So if you right-click and drag, you can rotate the character around. All these little circles allow you to adjust different facial features. And so you could work really hard to make it look like you or look absolutely ridiculous. You can change skin tone, scars on the face, tattoos, hair. So let's find a good hair. Ooh, look at that mohawk. Yeah, let's go with this guy. But yeah, lots of different things you could do to customize your character. But once you're done, click review, and then there is a save button so that you can save your character appearance for future patches when it resets, or just go ahead and hit accept. So I'm going to click accept here, and that's going to move us to the next part, which is asking if we want to play the tutorial. The tutorial is old, outdated, and does not work well. I don't recommend it, and it's sad that I can't recommend it, but I would recommend you would hit skip and use my video instead. It will do a better job for you, I think, in my opinion. But now let's talk about picking a primary residence. So this is going to be your home hangar location for the duration of this major patch, which in 2026 is about 2 months long. Notice there are 3 systems right now: Stanton, Pyro, and Nyx. Stanton is the system that I would recommend to you as a new player. It's the best one for really learning the ropes of the game. There's a little more law and security there. That doesn't mean you can't encounter PvP or people that gank you, but Pyro is a lawless system. There are no laws, and so PvP can be more likely there, but it's also a huge system and oftentimes feels pretty empty. There are just a few hotspot locations that you might want to avoid if you don't want to do PvP. Nyx is the newest system with really cool asteroid-based locations, and there are no planets in Nyx yet, but there will be later on this year. But notice if you click on each one of these in the system, that's Levski, by the way, which is one of the coolest locations in the whole verse. It's Nyx is a really cool system. It's the newest one. But I'm going to recommend Stanton. Okay, and once you click on Stanton, you can then select a location here. There are 4 cities in Stanton that you could choose from. Lorville is on Hurston. It is more of an industrial feel. It's a great location, honestly. It's more central in that solar system. Orison is a beautiful city. It is a floating city on platforms above the gas giant Crusader. So really cool, beautiful city. I will say it has been more laggy lately. Then Area 18 we'll come back to. New Babbage is a very popular favorite. It is on Microtech. It's further away from everything, but it's a beautiful planet that's a lot like Earth in many ways, and then a very beautiful modern city there. I choose Area 18 when I'm basing out of Stanton, and it's kind of a futuristic kind of a city on a planet that's basically one giant city. So I'm going to choose Area 18. You can then choose a region for a shard, which has multiple servers within it. You can choose best, and that will theoretically pick the best one, or just pick one based on your region. I'm going to pick EU based on the time of day right now, actually, and then you're going to click play game. Now, once you click this, it's going to ask you, do you want to confirm your home location? Because you only get to choose your home location once for each major patch. So in 2026, that means this will be your home location for approximately 2 months. All right. It doesn't mean you can't set your spawn location or operate out of other locations, like if you really like a certain space station. It just means your home persistent location will be at that location for the duration of the patch. The loading screen is fun because it changes each major patch with kind of news headlines that apply to the lore of the game in that moment and for some of the storyline that's going on. So that's a fun thing to check out every new patch. But it takes a minute and then loads in. So, all right, here we are. We are in our hangar now. So welcome to the verse. Notice that you spawn currently inside your hangar. And so we are standing here in our hangar. I want to point out global chat over on the left. It automatically is turned on. If you tap enter, that will open global chat, and you could actually type a message there and send a message to everybody. That's everyone in the entire shard. If you have a party, you'd be able to select party chat here and just limit it to the group that you're playing with. Tap enter again is actually going to close that chat. And then if you want to toggle it off of the screen, because sometimes it can get pretty nasty, honestly, just hit F12 and it goes away. Or F12 will bring it back. But yeah, notice we're standing here in our hangar. You can look down and you can see my character's body, right? Shadow, lots of cool detail here. But let me give you a quick tour of the hangar. So they're all about the same, but they're different sizes. I just have a small ship, so I've got a small hangar, but it goes up to extra large currently. There's a freight elevator over there. We interact a lot with the freight elevator. These parts over here are not active in the game yet. They will be in the future. And then this is the main part of the hangar where you'll spend a decent amount of time because you'll call your ships from over here and access your inventory from this location. So storage access, this is how you access your local inventory for this location. Hangar services is a kiosk where you can pull up and retrieve ships. So let's talk about the Mobiglass now. If you tap F1 or F2, it'll pull up your Mobiglass. And so your Mobiglass is kind of like your personal electronic device in the verse. And notice it says your name plus your amount of credits. That's alpha UEC, which is your credits. And I have 70,000 right now. If you use a referral code, you'll have more than the standard amount. But I can use my mouse and scroll wheel out and zoom out and see that I'm at Area 18 on the planet of ArcCorp. And then there are these different tabs. So the Home tab shows you a lot of information here. One of the things it shows you is the system that you're in, or the planet you're on. Crime stat, there is crime in the game and there is a prison in Stanton. Gravity, so 1.0 gravity here. The atmosphere is safe and breathable, so I'd be able to take my helmet off just fine. Other things like temperature, pressure, and radiation levels in the location that I'm standing right now. Over on the right side, you can see different health metrics, like my health is at 100%, my body temperature, my heart rate, which can go up and down, oxygen level currently, and then drug level in my blood if I had administered medications to myself. The health tab shows you a lot of those same features. Comms, this is global chat. And so this is another way you can access and type in global chat. If you have a friends list built out, you'd be able to see your friends here and invite them to party, or any pending invitations would be listed there. Over here on the right, this is a long list of people who are in the same server or shard as you. And notice if I right click on somebody, I would be able to invite to party or send them a friend request. That list is oftentimes not all inclusive. It stops at a certain level. Contracts is a super important tab. As a new player, you want to be operating out of these contracts to build up your financial resources and your reputation. So there's collection missions, which you'll be able to explore when you're no longer brand new. Mercenary, there's a lot here that can be a lot of fun for new players. Hauling, we're going to do the first one of this in this video. Salvage, I'm not going to get into in this video. Courier, this is a fantastic type of mission. Courier and delivery mission are fantastic for new players. Investigation has you go to an FPS like bunker style combat location, which is one of my favorite places in the game. Hand mining, which is like gem mining on planet surfaces, and then bounty hunting. We're going to complete the first bounty hunting contract during this video as well. So this is where you would go complete contracts for different companies and build up reputation and earn money. There are other ways to earn money that don't require contracts, but we're not going to be getting into those in this video. Once you accept a contract, it'll appear here, and then any that you've completed during this single play session will be listed right there under history. The next tab is maps, we kind of already looked at, and we'll look at a lot more. Journal is sometimes helpful. It's got some things like this mining fundamentals, basic overview of mining. Honestly, sometimes it's not very inclusive of all of the details you would need, and like this one, where to mine, it gives you a basic idea, but it's also not always accurate. So the journal is not super helpful. Assets, this tab actually doesn't work. It's an app that I think broke when they introduced Pyro into the system, and there were multiple systems, so it doesn't work. It's supposed to show you where you have certain things stored. Rep, this is an important one because as you complete different contracts, you will build reputation. Notice we have 0 reputation with any companies at this point, but the reputation can play a major role in what kind of things you can do in the game. Wallet is a way that you can electronically send credits to another player. And so you'd be able to choose, search just anybody using the search bar, but see your friends listed there and then transfer them money. Or if you have a party built, you'd be able to select your party members and send them money. So if you're playing with other players, that's how you can transfer money to each other. When we land at a place and we need to refuel, restock, and repair, this is the tab that we'll use in our Mobiglass to do that. And I'll show you that later on. And then the vehicle loadout manager is also a very important tab. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this in this video, but I do have a different video linked in the video description. Notice it shows my ships. It shows my Aurora Mark II, and it's got a little lock symbol. So that means this ship is I own that ship, but it is not currently stored at this location. So I can either hit the X or type tap the escape button. Let's head over to the fleet manager because I want to show you this now. So fleet manager kiosk is a very important terminal that you'll use a lot. And notice you can see my ship here, the RSI Aurora Mark II. It is deliverable. It's not at any location right now. And then it's a starter ship, a light fighter, and can technically haul 2 as a base model. And then I want to click deliver, and it's going to deliver the ship to my location now. And if I were to click retrieve, it would pull it up on the pad out in front of me. But I'm not going to do that quite yet because I want to show you a few more things. If you get a lot of ships, you'll see them all listed right here, and you can have them delivered to this location, this little toggle on off, and it'll be a checkbox in 4.8 over here. There'll be a little checkbox that you can check, and it'll show you all of your ships that are stored at this location only once you have a lot of ships. And then there's also going to be a vehicle loadout ensure button right here starting in 4.8. I'll show you that a little bit later on in this video. But Fleet Manager, you'll spend a lot of time with, and it's important to know how to operate it, because that vehicle loadout like insurance that's coming in with the 4.8 patch in mid-May 2026 is going to be really important. But let's go back into the Mobiglass by tapping F1 or F2, and that's going to pull us up here. And if I hit vehicles again, you can see if I select the ship, there's my Aurora, and the little lock symbol is not there because my ship is stored here at this location. So I'm going to select it, and notice there it gives a little hologram of the ship, which I can move around, which is kind of cool. I bought the cargo module. In modular ships like the Aurora, it will have a little module tab, and this is the TS module is the cargo one, which gives me 6 additional SEU of cargo. And notice how it says available. So if I click on it, it's now equipped, but see this little symbol over here, it means it's not yet saved. It's a change that's pending, so I need to hit save changes and equip. There we go. And then I can look at my next tab, which is the liveries, the paint job. This one came stock with the shimmer scale paint already installed, it looks like. I don't necessarily want that on right now, so I'm going to click unequip and then save changes. And then propulsion is the next tab, and this one is about the jump module. Then there's different components like shield generators, quantum drive, power plant, coolers, vehicle weapons. So notice I would be able to change all these things if I purchased or scavenged any other components. And then the radar is under avionics. So I'm not going to get into the details of all of these changes that you can do to ships, but just know that that is something that you can get into, as you can build out pretty cool loadouts for your ships. So let's talk about third person character view, because that can be useful in a lot of things. If you tap F4 once, this goes into your first third person view, and if you hold Z and move your mouse around, this will move the camera around. So notice I can take a look at myself here, and if I stop holding Z, you can turn your body around. So there's your character. If I tap F4 again, it puts me in the second third person view, which is a little further out. So you've got 2 of those. And to reset the view, you want to go F4, numlock, and asterisk. That will put you back into a reset normal position, and tapping F4 again takes you back to first person view. All right, so that can be pretty handy when you're trying to look at certain things or get a cool screenshot. Yeah, that's the third person view. All right, next up is we need to gather gear and gear up. And to do this, I want to take you from the hangar into the spaceport and then onto the city. I know we want to fly our spaceship, but there's some important things that we need to do before we go out on an adventure. We need the right tools. So head over here to the corner where there's an elevator, and we're going to tap F and call the elevator in. That steam looks cool. And so after a few seconds, your elevator should open here once the elevator gets to your hangar. And when you walk inside, if you hold F and then use your mouse, you can touch screens and select buttons on the screen. So if I click this button, for example, it opens back to my hangar. If I click this button for Riker Memorial Spaceport, that is going to move my character inside this elevator, physically move my character over to the Riker Memorial Spaceport. So right now, my character is being moved. This is not a loading screen. I'm moving over to the spaceport. And so now we're inside the spaceport, and oh, here's another player. and this is the fleet manager screen again. But look, if I walk up to this player, I would be able to tap F and invite to party. We're not going to do that, but fleet manager, this is the same screen that I showed you a moment ago in the hangar, but we are now moving into Area 18, the Riker Memorial Spaceport in Area 18. Here's another player. Kelto is a little shop where you can buy different things. You can buy things right off the table, or you can use the little kiosk here. So tap F. Notice you're going to use F a lot in this game. And so these are all different items. You can click quick buy. I'm going to buy that burrito, for example. NPC just told me smart buy. Nice. Thank you. And then we're going to buy things off the desk by just holding F when you're looking at it. And that will put these items into your local inventory. So I'm going to buy a fuse. I bought an SRT canister here. Those are things needed for engineering. But yeah, Kelto is a good little shop. Now the spaceport, notice it looks a lot like a train station or an airport, which is kind of cool. Now if we hold F and scroll wheel up, you can zoom in. So hold F and scroll wheel up. So transit platform, we're going to head that direction. Another thing I want to show you is with my walking speed, I can scroll wheel up while I'm walking, and this increases my speed on foot, right? And I can hold shift, and that will allow me to sprint. Now I didn't mention this earlier, but we use the normal WASD for movement like you see in a lot of other PC games. These storage kiosks let me see my inventory, and then over here is a rental shop. So I want to show you how you could rent other ships other than the one that you purchased. You can rent them in game. So if I walk up to this kiosk, I can click on things like the Nomad. Nomad's a pretty cool little cargo ship. And you'd be able to select either 1 day or 3 days or 7 days and then pay some credits, and that will allow you to keep that for that calendar day in real life time. So if I buy it right now, I'll have it for 24 hours of real life time. All right, so that's how you rent ships. You can rent it at rent ships at major cities in Stanton, Lorville, New Babbage, and ArcCorp. I don't know if you can on Crusader. Actually, yeah, you can on Orison. So all of the cities. All right, paying off crime stat is something you need to know how to do, because you can accidentally get a crime stat sometimes. In these little stations here that are scattered throughout different planet, like on different cities and space stations. I don't know why that says Levski People's Alliance. It's not supposed to. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I think that's a bug. That's funny. So if you had any crime stats or tickets or infractions, they would be listed here, and then the fine amount, and you would be able to click pay all fines and clear those, except for homicide. If you accidentally or purposefully kill an NPC or another player in the game, you will get a homicide charge, and you cannot pay those off. You will be hunted down by bounty hunters, and you will go to prison. So avoid a crime stat as a new player. That's always, I think, good advice right now. So let's head over to the city by taking the tram. So we're going to follow this corridor towards the transit platform. All right, and there's nice signs, so just follow the signs. The signs in this game are super important. This one over here, oh, that's our tram. It just closed and the tram is leaving. So another one will come in 46 seconds. So we've got 46 seconds here. But notice there's a tram sitting over here, but this is not the one I want, because this one is going to the Bevic Convention Center. Instead, I want the one that is over here that will take me to ArcCorp Plaza. But security guards and storage kiosks that would let me access my inventory here at Area 18. All right, tram is here. So once the tram opens, we're going to walk onto the tram here, and you can either stay standing for the tram ride. It's going to depart in 13 seconds. Or we can actually take a seat on the tram as well. So you can walk over to a seat and tap F, and you will sit down here on the tram. And so here in a second, the tram doors will close and the tram's going to leave, and it will transport me over to ArcCorp Plaza. So there we go, pulling away from the spaceport now. It's kind of like a hover train. Each of the cities has something like this, which is kind of fun. It also takes up a lot of time if you're going back and forth. So we're going to go ahead and stand up by tapping F, or Y actually will let you stand up too. But as you can see, we're physically moving from the Riker spaceport over to ArcCorp Plaza now. And it takes a minute or two. All right, tram is arriving here at Arcourt Plaza. There we go. So now we are outside at Area 18. Notice if I look up here, we're actually standing outside. There's the night sky above us. And yes, the planet does rotate and the sun will come up. But over here, we're going to walk towards Area 18 and notice Arcourt Plaza. That's where the shops are. We're going to buy some food. We're going to buy some gear. And then we'll head back to our hangar here in a moment. But notice as I walk towards Arcourt Plaza, there's this atrium, and when we come back, we're going to actually want to head down that direction to go back to the spaceport. But let's head up the stairs here and head into Arcourt Plaza, which that sign is not rendering in for me quite right. But notice more storage kiosks, and here's Arcourt Plaza. So there's lots of things that I need to show you here, and all the cities kind of have the same basics, but like this is the TDD. Each of the 4 cities has this, which is where you would sell commodities or mined ores, or if you're doing trading. Let's see, this is the hospital. The hospital is super important. Each of the cities has one. If I were to die anywhere in the verse right now, I would respawn at the hospital right here in Area 18. I can change that, and I'll show you how to do that, but right now that's where I would respawn. There's a food court over there where I can buy different food items. This is the Arcourt Tower, which there's a weapons shop at the top of that. And then there's a little map over here. There is technically a mini map within the Mobiglass, and if you look in the top left corner, you can see it on your HUD. But if I tap F2, here's the map, and I can zoom out just a little bit. I can use my mouse to click and drag and rotate both with right click and left click. And notice I can try to get an idea of where I'm supposed to go, because these cities can get very confusing. This is the weapons retailer that I want to go to, and you're supposed to be able to click and then tap R and set a route. That has previously worked, but it is not working in the current patch at the time of recording. But it's supposed to, where you click there and tap R, and it would create a route for you that then you'd be able to see in your top left corner on your little mini map in the top left in the HUD, and then you'd be able to follow that line. But I'll just show you how to get there. So let's walk this direction, and there's another player. But there's the retail bridges, which is a way to get to a lot of the shops. So we could head that direction, or we're going to head to the retail plaza, which is to the left of the Arcourt Tower. And over here is where the weapons shop is that I would recommend you go to first. That did not render in very well either. Alright, and here's the retail plaza. Okay, so there's like the Casaba outlet over there, which is different clothing items, but this right here is Cubby Blast, and each of the cities has a weapons shop like this. But let's go inside Cubby Blast here, and this is where we can buy armor, weapons, ammo, tools, things like that. So Cubby Blast is an important shop in Area 18. Notice you could buy one of these by holding F, just buy it off the wall. Don't do that right now unless you have a ton of money. But here's some mannequins with armor, so you can kind of get an idea of what the armor looks like, some of them, but there's a ton of different armor options in this game. We're going to walk over here and notice there's what's called Cruise Lux on this table here. Cruise Lux is a very important drink in the game, and I'm going to buy a couple of those right now. It replenishes both your hydration and your food status, Cruise Lux. So these are the Pyro multi-tool with attachments, so we need a True Hold tractor beam attachment, probably one of the most important things, and we actually need the Pyro multi-tool. So I'm going to hold F on that and buy ourselves a Pyro multi-tool. Super important, never really go anywhere without a Pyro multi-tool. I'll buy a mining attachment as well, although I don't think we'll use that today. Back here, just some more armor on display, but anything that is sold by this shop is going to be available here on the kiosk. So you could just come straight to the kiosk if you need to buy something. You can use the search bar to search for things. So I'm going to pull up, for example, there's the Pyro multi-tool that I just bought a second ago, so I don't need to buy another one, although I could. But I do want to buy some armor. Now, there's a lot of different armor choices, and depending on how much money you have in the game, notice you could actually change it. I have 67,000 right now because I bought several things, some not on the recording, but I'm gonna go ahead and buy some armor right now, although you don't need to. If you don't have as much money as I have listed here, you don't technically need to buy some armor, but I'm going to, and I might recommend that you do so. So you could buy it using the kiosk. Hello, another player. Or you can buy it right off the mannequin, and I'm going to go ahead and buy this one here, the undersuit, which I technically don't need, I guess, but let's buy the Singularity Core. I think this is a cool looking medium armor set. There's light, medium, and heavy armor in the game. Heavy provides the most damage protection and radiation protection, but medium does a fair job as well and allows you to move a little faster than the heavy armor does. But let's go over here. Now I want to buy a gun. I recommend that you buy the P4AR as your first starter gun. It's a great gun, and you can find ammo for it on a lot of NPCs. I'm going to buy the ammo for it as well. If I click buy over in the bottom right hand corner, I can choose way more than just one with quick buy. So we're going to buy 20 mags for the P4. And every time I buy something, it's putting it in my local inventory here in Area 18. So to now utilize that, I would need to find a storage access kiosk. I need to buy a few more things first. So I'm going to head this direction to go to the retail bridges. It's like a maze, right? You can get to these places in multiple different directions. There's different food stands that I could buy food items from. There's Astro Armada over here. This is a ship dealer. So once you have a lot of money and you want to buy more ships, you can buy ships there at Astro Armada. There's also the more significant ship dealer in Lorville on Hurston called New Deal, and you can buy most ships there at New Deal. But there's a store here called Dumpers Depot in Area 18 that sells a lot of things that Cubby Blast does not sell, including a certain multi-tool attachment I want to get. So I'm going to come over here and use the store kiosk in Dumpers Depot. I'm going to use the search bar here, and I want the SRT attachment for my multi-tool. This is needed for engineering. I'm not going to spend much time on engineering today, but there are a lot of videos online on YouTube that talk about engineering in Star Citizen, and in order to perform repairs on things like your components when they get damaged, you do want a multi-tool with the SRT attachment and a canister loaded up. So I'll show you how you load those into your multi-tool here in a few minutes. But we're going to head back to the hangar now. So we're going to first head back to ArcCorp Plaza. Again, following the signs is super helpful. So back to ArcCorp Plaza. This will put us back in that central area. And there's ArcCorp Tower on our left and the TDD across the way. The hospital's to my right. And we're going to head right through here to the transit platform and go back to Riker Memorial Spaceport. So feels a little bit like a maze, I'm sure, but we're going to follow the signs wherever you are, whether you're in ArcCorp, Lorville, Orison, or New Babbage. The signs are extremely helpful to help you know where to go. And you'll eventually learn it, just like, you've learned how to get around the town you live in. All right, back on the tram. Now coming off the tram, let's talk about inventory. Tap I to open your inventory, and you can see that you've got two panels, one on the right, one on the left. The one on the left pertains to your character, your person. You can see I've got a pistol on my hip, which is standard spawn. But up here is where you would see things you are carrying in your armor. This is where the weapon slots are, and then this is the utility slots. So you can see that there's little bubbles where I can place armor, sunglasses, a backpack, and then here's the med pens and ammo slots, and these change depending on what kind of armor you're wearing. The Arclight pistol that you spawn with is actually a pretty decent pistol, but let's go ahead and equip the armor and stuff that I just bought. So walk up to one of these storage access kiosks and tap F. This little map symbol up in the corner is the local inventory at this location. So this is everything that I currently have stored here at Area 18. I'm going to take the helmet off that was there, and then I'm going to take the med pen off. Notice I can just drag and drop things. All right. Now I'm going to take the pistol off as well. I think that's all I have on me. I did buy this new undersuit, and if I double click, notice it just replaced the old undersuit, the spawn one, with this new undersuit that I just bought. And so double clicking works, or you can drag and drop. I'm going to drag this armor piece to the chest. That's the core armor. I'm going to drag the helmet to the helmet location, but you can also just double click. See, and that will put it into its slot as well. So now I've got full armor set, legs, arms, core, and helmet equipped. I'm going to equip the med pen, and notice there's 4 slots for that now. I'm going to equip this gun. Notice it just puts it on your back if you do not have a backpack. So I'm not wearing a backpack, but then the ammo slots, I can just drag ammo to this little ammo bubble, or I can double click and it will also equip the ammo to my ammo slots on my core armor. The multi-tool, I can double click that as well, and that will put it into the utility slot on my hip. I can see that right here for gadgets. So there's my pyro multi-tool, but the attachment is still empty. And so I need to equip one of the attachments for the multi-tool. The most important one as a new player is the tractor beam. So the true hold tractor beam. I can drag and drop it there, or just double clicking will also equip it. Now the salvage one is also important for engineering gameplay. I'm not going to get too much into that with this video, but it's wise to always carry around with you one of those salvage attachments. And notice this panel up here is showing the stuff that I'm carrying with me. So I'm going to take one of these as well. Another thing you can do is hold shift and left click, and that'll put it into your backpack or into your core armor, or just drag and drop like I did there. So sidearm, going to go ahead and put the pistol back on my hip, double clicking there. Let's take some food with us. So here's some crews. I'm going to do the shift click here, where well, it's not working right now actually, shift click. So I'm just going to drag and drop it. And then I do wish I had a backpack, but there is a backpack right here. Oh, you know what it is? The package I bought came with some basic armor, the Venture armor. That's why. And so a backpack was part of the package I bought. So what I'm actually going to do is move the gun off of my back and put the backpack on. It doesn't match the armor at all. Kind of an ugly white backpack, but there it is. Double clicking the gun puts it back on my back, but this time it's hanging on the backpack. And notice I'd be able to carry 2 guns now. And there we go. So that is how you equip tools, armor, all of that to your character's body. You'll get the hang of it. It's a little finicky sometimes. It doesn't work perfectly, but there we are. We are fully equipped in some medium armor with a lot of ammo and a multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment. So let's head back to the hangar now, running through the spaceport. Now, back over here at Riker Memorial, notice, okay, here's a player getting some food. Now, this is the fleet manager and then the elevators around it. So because this is my home location, I could technically just go to an elevator and go to my hangar, because at your home location, you have a persistent hangar, or you're supposed to. Sometimes it bugs out, honestly, but notice that if I walk into an elevator, I've got a persistent hangar here at my home location. And the hangar size will match your largest ship that you own. So mine is a small ship right now. I only own 1 ship. So my hangar size is a small hangar. But when I buy larger ships, my home hangar will change to a larger hangar. All right. So let's talk about some hotkeys that allow you to use your equipped items better. So first, tap 1, and that'll pull out your primary weapon. If you hold right click, it allows you to aim that weapon. And then left click shoots it, just like that. You can shoot whether you're aiming directly or just from your hip like that. And notice it auto reloaded, but I can tap R to reload at any time as well. And then left alt plus 1 will repool your ammo. And then holding R briefly will put it back on the back. If you tap 2, that'll bring out a secondary weapon, but notice I just have 1, right? Tapping 3 brings out your sidearm or pistol, and you can aim and shoot the same way. Tapping 4 brings out your med pens, and you can left click to heal yourself or right click to heal another person nearby you, so that's useful. Tapping 5 brings out your multi-tools, and if you have multiple multi-tools, tapping 5 will cycle through them. Notice this one has the tractor beam attachment. Tapping J allows me to change the attachments. I can do that with my inventory, but if I click on these little bubbles here and then use my scroll wheel to scroll through to the side, you can see there's my tractor beam attachment, but there's the SRT attachment. So if I click that and then use the bubble down here to load the canister of SRT, now this multi-tool is set up for salvage and repair, which is important for engineering. But I want the tractor beam equipped, so I'm going to go back into the J menu and scroll back over here and put the tractor beam back in, and there we go. Tapping 6 pulls out your fists, and you can use right and left click to throw punches, and then holding R briefly will put those guns back where they belong. And there you go, those are the hotkeys. Okay, time to fly. Let's pull up our ship, and I want to show you some of the basics of these starter ships. So notice I selected it on the fleet manager and asked it to retrieve the ship. So the hangar floor drops down. Once it's all the way down, and yes, you could fall down there and die, so do not walk across there, then the hangar closes. Now once it opens up a couple seconds later, your ship is down below. Look at that beautiful ship. Nice. And then once the hangar opens all the way, there we go. The pad will raise up. And as soon as it's up, you're able to walk out on there. There we go. The lights will eventually turn on in here and the caution hologram will go away. But here's my ship. So this is the Aurora Mark II. And like I mentioned earlier, I think this is one of the better starter ships, but let me show you around. So these little buttons, notice if I tap F, there are things on the outside of the ship. This happens to be 2 SCU of storage. There are other buttons that open up access to components, like there's a shield generator. And then I have the cargo module installed. This is an extra purchase. It doesn't come stock with the ship, but this is the cargo module. Notice that it gives me 6 additional SCU of cargo space. So I have a total of 8 right now. There we go. So you get onto the ship, see the little hatch symbol there? Most of the new ships are going to have that, and you're going to go ahead and tap F at that hatch symbol and it will open your ship. And I'm going to walk inside. You can see the pilot seat off on the left, some shelves over here, the engineering terminal, the bed. If I tap T, this will turn on a little headlight and flashlight that you can use in darker spaces. So there's a suit locker. Tap T again to turn that off. The bed, which is useful for logging out. And then here's like weapons rack and utility rack where I can put guns if I would like. Notice I can place my gun right here. And I would be able to put my multi-tool up there if I would like to as well. Just be aware that if you've got things stored there and your ship is destroyed right now, you will lose those things. So be careful with that. I don't usually use them too much. There's a storage button down here, so most ships have internal storage where you'd be able to store things. They do come stock currently, and might not be long-term, but with some items that are useful for engineering. So I don't know how long they'll continue doing that, because you can buy all of these things very, very easily now, but we'll see. And so let's go ahead and close the door here and then take a seat in the pilot seat. Notice we tap F a lot in this game to interact with things, right? So now first thing, I want to pick up a contract because we're going to go do some cargo. So if I push F2 and open up the MobiGlass and go to contracts, the very first thing that I want to do is a hauling contract. This will be a new opportunity for independent cargo haulers with Kovalex. This pays 50,000 credits, and it is asking me to move 6 SEU from to Riker Memorial from Beijini Point, which is a space station in orbit above this planet I'm on. These are 1 SCU cargo containers. It's really important to pay attention to the size of that box because you need to make sure the contract you pick up, you have a ship that will fit that. So I can carry 1 SCU boxes here in this ship, but if it said 4 SCU boxes, I would not be able to do that contract, for example. So we hit accept, and I'm going to hit track as well so that I get the mission markers on my HUD. And I think we'll stop there for now. The courier missions are one that I was hoping to show you, but they're not popping up consistently in the current patch at the time of recording. But the courier missions are really good ones for new players as well. I highly recommend those. Tapping U is going to turn my ship on. See that? And then tapping I is going to turn your engines on and off. It already had engines on when I hit U, but notice tapping I turns the engines on and off. If I hold F, I can interact with the screen with my mouse, and I can toggle between the different MFDs. So notice there's several different MFD screens. The power management is a really important one to be able to, look at this one. This is diagnostics, also an important one to be aware of for engineering. If any of your components get damaged, you'd be able to repair them there. But the power management screen is really important. to be able to, and you can move power pips around, assign more power or less power to certain components. I'm going to adjust a few things here, have more power to shields and guns, not as much to engines. Tapping 4 is going to enter an external camera view, and I can hold Z and move my mouse around to move the camera around, which makes it nice to be able to see certain things, to like take screenshots, for example, with print screen button on your keyboard. And then the F4 numlock and asterisk is going to return it to its normal position. But let's talk about some basic flight lessons here before we even leave the hangar. First of all, left Alt N is going to hail ATC and open the hangar doors for you. Spacebar is going to strafe upwards so I can take off. See? And then strafing A and D are going to strafe left and right. Notice that. S is strafing backwards and W is forward thrust. Be careful with that. Control strafes downwards as spacebar strafes upwards, and then we can use the mouse to point the nose of the ship in a certain direction. I highly recommend that as a new player you just practice flying around quite a bit. This little symbol right here on the screen shows me my landing gear are currently down, and that's going to keep my speed nice and low as I leave the hangar. So I recommend, until you're much more experienced with flying, keep your landing gear down as you're close to certain structures like the hangar. And then when you are in a safer spot, you can tap N, and that is going to retract your landing gear. It's also the same key that will deploy your landing gear. Look how cool this ship is. As the landing gear retract, those wings pop out. Such a cool animation. Alright, so with my landing gear up though, notice my speed is a lot faster. Alright, now Q and E are going to roll left and right. That's another important thing to be aware of. So if you're flying completely with keyboard, those are the key binds. So now we're going to fly around. You can see we're flying somewhat around ArcCorp City right now, or Area 18 rather. I want to stay away from the buildings too much, but notice I'm in SCM mode, which is weapons on and shields up. But if I briefly hold B for a second, that will change me into nav mode, or the same mode that will allow me to use my quantum drive, and the speed will increase as well. So let's go ahead and point our nose up, and notice you can see the degree of pitch as we point up. If I hold shift, that's going to boost, and I can see how much boost I have left over here. So now my speed is really increasing as I point upwards with boost on. And then you can see my altimeter here, how high I am off the ground. Now, let's talk about using quantum drive and doing some quantum travel. Notice it's disabled while I'm in atmosphere. Here at Area 18, 7 kilometers up is about the time that you leave atmosphere, and you saw there on the screen, as soon as I was out of atmosphere, the quantum drive turned on and it said it was online. But here we are, out of atmosphere now, above Area 18 on ArcCorp. Now to complete quantum travel, we need to point at a quantum beacon. These are the beacons that you can see on the screen. I'm going to point at the one that says collect shipment, and my quantum drive is going to calibrate. Once it's fully calibrated, I'd be able to jump, but notice if I hold right click, I can actually zoom in, and because Beijing Point is close, I can actually see it right there, 214 kilometers away. To engage quantum travel, I'm gonna left click. And there we go. Now we're only 24 kilometers away, so we traveled quite a distance very quickly with that quantum drive. Notice we are a long ways up from Area 18. Area 18 is way back there in the distance now, and we are a lot higher off the planet, only 24 kilometers from Beijing Spaceport. So that's quantum travel, and that's how it works everywhere in the verse. Now as I head towards the space station, notice my speed really increases, because in nav mode in space, we are traveling a lot faster speeds. If I hit tab, that sends out a ping like you just saw there that helps us see things better in the dark. Unfortunately, I'm on the dark side of ArcCorp right now, so getting a little bit of frame stutter, but the space station here is a little dark, but we're going to go ahead and land at the space station. If I hit tab, that lets me see the space station a little bit better. But let's move towards the space station here, and I'm holding B briefly, and notice that put me into SCM mode, and my speed really slowed down now. So you go a lot slower in SCM. And then left Alt plus N is again the way we hail for a hangar. I have mine keybound actually to F3, and there we can see the hangar. So it'll show you on your HUD where your hangar is. It gives you a little marker. So in SEM mode, start moving slowly towards your hangar. Now it will close if you don't get there fast enough, but don't go too fast. You don't want to smash into the station. Now if I hold left alt and scroll wheel down, notice I can actually change my top speed, so I can control my speed a little bit better, and that's a way to feel a little more comfortable coming into a space station if you want to slow your top speed down. And then as I get closer even, I'm going to tap N to deploy my landing gear. And again, like I mentioned earlier, that actually is going to control my speed even more. So my top speed now is like 27 meters per second, I think. And then we'll carefully ease on into the hangar here. And then we're going to use control to strafe downward until we have landed on the pad in the hangar. We've officially landed at a space station. Now if I hold Z, this allows me to free look around, and notice I want to be over there by the freight elevator actually. But I can look around in the cockpit holding Z like that, which is kind of nice. But I need to move the ship over by the freight elevator so that we can pull up the cargo. So before I turn it off, I'm going to spacebar to strafe up a little bit. I'm going to turn my ship to the left and strafe to the right with D, and then use S a little bit to back up. And then we're going to go ahead and land right here so that the back of my ship's a little closer to the freight elevator. Now always tap I to turn off your engines, and then briefly hold Y to exit the pilot seat. There we go. And those controls are always the same on every ship, no matter how big. So we'll go ahead and exit the ship now, and let's now talk about how we retrieve cargo for a cargo mission and how we load it up on our ship. So I'm going to deploy my cargo bay here in the back because we need to put our cargo back here. And then we'll use the freight elevator kiosk here. So if I tap F, this is what the freight elevator kiosk looks like. There's my corundum that I need, but I can't move it over because I need to first lower the elevator. So there we go, the elevator is now lowered, and if I go back into the kiosk, now if I click on it, notice I can then move it to the elevator, or I can just drag and drop it onto the elevator. And then I can click raise elevator and it'll bring it on up. There we go, so tap 5, and that's going to pull out my pyro multi-tool, and then left click is going to engage the tractor beam. Just left click once. And then notice I can attach it to different cargo grids. It gives a little hologram of where it will attach. I can use the scroll wheel to move it in or out, like reeling it in or pushing it out. And then if I hold R and move the mouse around, I can actually rotate the box that I'm holding in all sorts of different directions. And then using the scroll will actually let me rotate it left and right like that. So you can really move these boxes around pretty. It takes some practice, but using the tractor beam is a skill that you really want to develop here in the game because you use it a lot to move around freight. Now these are the smallest boxes that the cargo contracts will give you, 1 SEU. Okay, here's the 6th box, and there we go, all loaded. I'm going to briefly hold R to reholster that weapon and close the cargo bay. Now if you are flying the Avenger Titan, once you are loaded with cargo, you're not going to be able to get in the back of your ship, so there's another way to get in. Let me show you that. Alright, let's close this up now. And then the other way that you can get into the Avenger Titan is going over here onto the left side of the cockpit. And if you look up right by the cockpit, you can see there's a floating button there. Tapping F, and we can climb the ladder up into the open canopy of the cockpit. Okay, back in the Aurora now. I'm going to use left alt N to hail ATC and open the hangar. I've coded that to F3 myself, which I think I mentioned. And then tap I to turn the engines on. Spacebar to strafe upwards, and then we're gently going to move towards the opening of the hangar. Now my speed is limited, so I'm going to left alt and scroll wheel up to take that back to the maximum. But I'm going to keep my landing gear down as I exit the hangar just for Nice speed control, and when I feel like I'm in a safer position, I'm going to tap N to retract my landing gear like that.
Landing gear raised.
And we're going to move up above the rest of the space station. It's unfortunate that it's in the dark, but we'll move away from the station a little bit here. There we go. And now let's talk about how we're going to deliver the cargo to its destination. So normally, you can see the delivery shipment marker, and then if I tap F2 and go into the Mobiglass, I would be able to click here and then click route to target. But because it's right below me and on the planet, I actually need to jump to the planet first. So I'm going to briefly hold B to go into nav mode, and then I'm going to point right at the planet. There's a little marker here, ArcCorp. Let the QT, or the quantum drive, calibrate, tap left shift, and that's going to jump me now into proper orbit around the planet, and now I can actually see the markers on the planet itself. And notice Area 18 is where I will be delivering the shipment in Riker Memorial Spaceport. Notice if I right click, I can zoom in and see that. And then left click once it's calibrated. And now we're in quantum travel down to Area 18. And it'll drop us out of quantum about 25 kilometers from the city. There we go. And notice right there, we're pointed right at the city. That's where we were doing some shopping earlier, where the tram took us to, but that's not the spaceport, so I'm gonna turn and look over here, and notice those blinking lights in a row, like up coming off the top of the spaceport. That lets us know where the spaceport is here at Area 18. But we're gonna cruise on down, staying in nav mode. Now see that really bright light? That's a ship called a reclaimer. That's not normally there. But I want to be mindful of my speed because I'm in nav mode, so I'm coming towards the planet fairly quickly, but it's slowing down naturally because of the thicker atmosphere. You can't go as fast in atmosphere in nav mode as you can in space. But I'm going to hail the hangar, left alt N, and look, we've got a hangar queue, so we'll have to wait a second. Okay, my hangar marker has popped up, so we're gonna head over towards the hangar here. Briefly hold B to go into SCM mode, gives us a little more control on the speed. And then we're going to ease on in here, just tapping the thrusters a little bit. And then as I get close to my hangar, I wanna tap N to extend the landing gear. We're going to carefully move into the hangar here. And I'll land with the rear end of the ship towards the freight elevator. And then you always want to turn the engines off with I, and then briefly hold Y to get out of the seat. It is a little different in a loaded Avenger Titan, so let me show you how to get out of a loaded Titan. There we go. Tap I to turn the engines off again, always. And then because I need to get out of the ship to the left, I'm going to hold Z and look to the left to see the button I need to left click on to exit the ship. Okay, so now we're here in the hangar and you can see the little deliver shipment beacon, but if we look at the contract again, you can see that we are to deliver this corundum to Riker Memorial Spaceport, which is where we're located right now, but we need to deliver it to the freight elevator at the spaceport. So where is that? It's right there. It's right in your hangar. So you deliver the cargo right here in your hangar, which is nice. So even though the mission marker is several hundred meters away, don't worry about that. Just deliver the cargo in your own freight elevator. So tapped 5 to bring out my multi-tool and then left click to grab it. And here's the last box. So all 6 SCU boxes are on the freight elevator. We're going to go over to the kiosk, tap F, and you can see all 6 of those are labeled there on the freight elevator. Here's all my stuff at Area 18, and then I'm going to click lower elevator. It does show 6 out of 6 boxes there, so we'll click confirm. And there we go. Perfect, contract complete. So if we open the Mobiglass with F2, I can see under contracts, we've now made 50,000, so I have over 100,000 credits already. If we look at the rep here, you can see we now have rep with Kovalex. We are at trainee rep, but it will be very quickly into rookie. And if I look at the contracts under offers, you can see, well, hauling, there's two other contractors, by the way, Ling Family and Redwind, that you can start rep with. But under hauling, planetary, and stellar, we have a lot more contracts offered to us now because we completed that first one. So this is a great way that you can go about making money. The ones that are extra small will be like 10 or 11 SEU at the largest. Sometimes they're like 5 or 4 or 6 SEU. The bigger ones, like medium, are more like 80 SEU, which we wouldn't be able to do in our starter ship, right? But even some of the stellar ones are extra small. See, that's 3 and 5. So you might need to make a couple of different trips, but running cargo is a fantastic way to make money as a new player in the verse. Okay, let's move on now to exploring the system. We're actually going to leave ArcCorp Beijing area and head out to another planet, another space station. Leaving the hangar like we've done a couple times now and pointing the nose up. Switching into nav mode by briefly holding B. Shift to boost. Another fun thing is if you actually hold the comma button, it gives you a rear view camera angle, which I think actually a lot of experienced players might not even know, but sometimes that can be useful, like when you're landing at an outpost and you want to see what's right behind your ship. You can hold comma to see right behind you. But we'll boost in nav mode up out of the atmosphere, and notice it says online, so we are able to quantum jump now because our quantum drive is online. And I'm just going to point at this first beacon that I see. Once it's calibrated, I'm going to go ahead and left click. And then after just a short amount of time, you can actually left click again, and sometimes you have to briefly hold left click, but that's going to stop the quantum jump. So I wanted to show you that you can do, you don't have to finish the whole quantum jump. So I just did that to show that sometimes if quantum routing isn't working, just pick one of the markers, jump partially to it, stop your jump early, and now look, we're out in the middle of space, far away from ArcCorp. And you can see all of these many quantum markers here in the Stanton system. There's a lot of them. But if I tap F2, this is going to bring up the star map. And notice you can see our little marker here, and we're just outside of ArcCorp. ArcCorp itself, if I give you a little tour of the Stanton system, has 2 moons, Lyria and Walla. So you would absolutely be able to go to those 2 moons and visit if you'd like. There are 2 space stations nearby. One is Arc L2, which is a lively pathway station is the name of it. It is a Lagrange point station that has many services. You can see what services stations offer by clicking on them. And it gives you a little bit of information about the stations. So here's Arc L1, here's Her L5. There's the Pyro Gateway station, which is where the wormhole is to go to Pyro. This is Hurston, one of the other planets, and it has 4 different moons, Magda, Ida, Aberdeen, and Ariel, and Hurston itself with the city of Lorville. And then there's Microtech way out here. This is a frozen planet with a lot of snow on it. It's beautiful, and it has 3 moons, and the city is New Babbage. The space station is Port Tressler. And then I zoomed out a little too far. If we scroll in here to Crusader, I'm using right click, by the way, to move the center of the map. Crusader is another planet with 3 moons, Yella, Selen, and Daymar, and its space station is Seraphim Station in orbit over Orison, the city on Crusader, and that's where we're going to go. Let's go to Seraphim Station. So notice if I click route down there in the bottom left, it drew a route there, and it's going to be 4 minutes and 40 seconds to travel 42.63 GMs. So it's quite the distance. It's one of the longer jumps, and my quantum drive is one of the slower ones because it's just the stock one on a starter ship. But notice first it's actually routing me to an orbital marker on Orison, or on Crusader. So let's go ahead and calibrate and jump. And this is going to take a full 4 minutes and 40 seconds of real time. This is what the ship looks like when you are in quantum travel. A lot of like space dust moving past and just some motion artifact. But if I tap F2 again and look at the star map, you can see that you can actually see my marker moving along that line and moving away from ArcCorp, which is pretty cool. So our ship is actually moving across this very huge system. Okay, coming into Crusader now. I jumped us ahead a little bit, so you didn't have to watch the whole 4 minutes there. But we're coming into orbital marker 1 on the planet of Crusader. And there we go. This is Crusader below us. It is a gas giant planet with no surface to land on, but it is beautiful. So now we're going to notice the next part of the route that Mobiglass created just has us jumping straight to Seraphim Station. Oh, there's other ships up here. If I tap T, I can target these other ships. And these appear to be abandoned ships, probably remnants of a PvP battle that occurred here at the orbital marker 1. But tapping T, notice it targets these other ships. But let's go ahead and point at Seraphim Station, the only quantum marker it's giving me right now. And then as we jump into the station, Seraphim especially takes a second to load in sometimes, so give it just a... There it is. So here is Seraphim Station. Beautiful space station over the very beautiful planet of Crusader. It looks like we're catching it in a nice sunset or sunrise. Alright, moving in towards Seraphim Station here. I want to be mindful of my speed. And then, see this little indicator right there moving on the screen? I'm moving that with my strafing motions. That indicates the direction my ship is currently traveling. So even if the nose of my ship is pointed in a different direction, that little indicator tells me the direction my ship is traveling. So always pay attention to that. Now I just hailed ATC, and there we go. It's given me a hangar. So I'm going to switch into SCM mode and cruise over here towards my hangar. And I want to make sure my speeds are controlled and my indicator is not pointing straight into like a turret or the station itself, just in case I overshoot. And I'm going to slow down, and this one is a vertical landing and takeoff hangar. So I'm going to go into F4 view actually, extend my landing gear, and then using my controls, I'm just going to slowly descend down into this hangar and gently land. There we go. Turn off my engines. And then if I tap F2, notice one of the tabs in the Mobiglass is landing. If I click on that, you can see that I am able to repair, which I don't have any repairs to do. Restock, I have nothing to restock, but I am lower on quantum fuel, so I'm going to tap auto there, and that will pay 1,000 credits to give to and refill my quantum fuel and now my hydrogen fuel. So that is how you land and refuel your ships in a hangar or on an external pad. So briefly holding Y, exiting my pilot seat, and let's hop out of the ship here. Time to give you a tour of the space station. Notice the hangar itself is pretty much identical to my home hangar at Area 18. So all the hangars in the Stanton system are pretty much identical. Let's go ahead and store the ship. So notice I can click store there, and that is now lowering my ship into storage here at Seraphim Station. I'm gonna tap F2, and let's pick up a contract real quick. I want to do maybe an entry-level bounty hunting contract with you. This is another way to earn money as a new player. So this is a tracker training permit certification. I need to pay 500 to get this certification, but this will open up other missions. Notice this is to hunt down an NPC target who was last seen near a security post, and it's a very low-risk target. So likely just in a small ship that we'll just need to destroy. So there we go, we'll pick that one up, but I wanted to first, let's give you a nice tour of a space station. The space stations in the Stanton system are all very similar. Oh, this is Kent. Kent is the NPC mission giver. So I'm going to click lobby. Notice there's a bunch of external freight elevators and external pads that you could go to, but just clicking lobby will take me into the space station. But yeah, Kent is the mission giver for NPC bounty hunting targets. And the PvP ones, actually. But so this is the ASOP terminal area here at Seraphim Station, where I would be able to call a ship. But all of the space stations in Stanton are very similar, have a lot of the same features. They're not identical, but notice right outside of the ASOP terminals, I can see Crusader. So we were just out there. And if another player flew past right now, we would be able to see them. Oh, my mission marker for the bounty just popped up, but we'll do that later. All right, let's begin our tour of the space station. Let's go left first. So over here, notice there's a little food stand. It makes it look like you can get pizza, but the pizza's not actually in the game right now, which is sad. But there are drinks you can buy over there. There's storage access kiosks, and it looks like some other players have littered and left stuff on the ground. Don't do that. But here is a medical clinic. So every station has a medical clinic, and in the clinic you would be able to access a hospital bed by checking in right here. And so if I were to tap F, it would check me into a hospital bed. Then I would be able to go back in here and find the hospital bed. So if you have an injury, that is where you would need to go to get healed. And this is a pharmacy with a little pharmacy shop to buy things. We'll buy something here in a minute. And then further in, there are these regeneration kiosks. So if I were to tap F on this, I would be able to reset my regeneration to this station. But let's buy something at the pharmacy shop real quick. I only have one med pen, so I want to buy a few more of these. So I'm going to click on the med pen, click buy, and I want to buy more than one, which is why I did not do the quick buy. I want 3. Let's do 4 or 5. So there we just bought med pens, and then the med gun is something I want to show you as well. Super useful. It uses the pistol slot on your hip, but it is probably the best way to be healing yourself consistently in the field if you're taking shots or damage from other players or NPCs. But I want to show you how you would actually heal your injuries, so I'm going to check in here by tapping F. It's saying, welcome, please proceed to room 7. So then I tap escape, and then I need to head back in the clinic here, find the medical rooms, and we're gonna look at the room numbers and find room 7. So rooms 5 to 8 are right here. That's 8, so room 7 should be this one, yep. So then you can only go into the room that it checked you into. So let's talk about how to change your spawn location and how you would heal yourself if you have injuries. So I'm going to lay down on the medical bed here, and then I'm going to hold F, and this is going to let me now use my cursor to tap on medical care. So if I had injuries, I would be able to click the treatment tab, check the checkbox next to my injuries, and then hit perform treatment, and that would heal my injuries. But I can also reset my regeneration here, so click regeneration, and notice my regeneration is currently set to my primary residence facility, so if I die, I will respawn back at Area 18, Hospital. But I want to reset this to Seraphim Clinic for now, so I'm going to hit transfer imprint. So what that means is if I fly out there on this bounty target and die, I will respawn here at the Seraphim Station. Now I'm going to tap Y to exit the medical bed, and there we go. So, and there's a storage access kiosk available in a lot of the clinic rooms. Now, notice this is local, so I can't see my Area 18 inventory, I can only see my Seraphim inventory. I'm going to double click on the medical gun, and notice that switched out my pistol for the med gun. And I do want that on my hip rather than the pistol for now. And then I bought more med pens, and I have 3 empty slots, so I'm going to just double click a couple of times and fill those up, and then I'm going to shift click and throw the rest of those in my backpack to take with me. Alright, so that is how we can put med pens in your backpack and on your body. But let's leave the medical clinic now that we've set our respawn point here to Seraphim Station, and continue our tour of the rest of the station. But like I said, every station actually has a clinic like this, even in the other systems. The cities and main spaceports will actually have hospitals. Like in Nix, there's a hospital in Levski. All right, let's head to the other side of the space station now. So these transit elevators are super important, but we're going to come back to this. The inner transit elevators are going to take us to various decks within within this station, but I want to show you the habs first. So over here are the easy habs. If I were to log out right now, so like if I were to hit escape and then exit to menu, or actually just quit the game, then what that's going to do is save my character in this location, and the next time I log in, I will spawn into a hab or an apartment right here, and then I'd use the elevators to come down to this floor, and then I'd walk out right here. Okay, that's how that works. But let's go visit a cargo center. If this was a refinery station, we would be able to visit the refinery, but Seraphim has a cargo deck instead of a refinery, so notice I can choose these. There's the Galleria, the hangar and habs where we're at now, or the cargo center. And like I said, this could say refinery if we were on a refinery station. But let's go to the cargo center, show you what that looks like. The refinery looks very different, but you can buy a lot of the same things at cargo centers and refineries. So both are very useful for buying certain tools. But this is what the cargo centers in Stanton look like. So there's a little shop back in here where you can buy different clothing items like boots and whatnot that are more just for role play and fun. Armor pieces, and then there's this kiosk. So like all the stores, there's a kiosk where I can tap F and see what items I can buy here. There's a lot of different things you could buy for cargo or industry. Like I can buy Cruise Lux, that drink item, or I could buy an SU container if I wanted to have a box that I can throw things in and store things in. Or I also want to show you the max lift tractor beam is also a really important thing to be aware of. So let me type max lift tractor beam. It's 19,000 credits. This tractor beam is the one that is required if you're going to move large cargo boxes like 32 SCU in size. You cannot move 32 SCU boxes with a normal pyro multi-tool and tractor beam. You need the max lift to do those. The pyro multi-tool works for the rest of them though. But let's head back to the elevator now and let's go visit the Galleria. The Galleria is a place where there are multiple shops that you can buy things. Not every Galleria is the same. Most of them will have a weapon shop where you can buy guns and ammo. Some will have armor shops, which is usually the same shop where you can buy guns and ammo. But like Beijini, for example, you cannot buy weapons and ammo at Beijini, which I think is kind of odd. But some of the Gallerias will have a bar, actually. Some will have a ship weapon shop. Others will have Platinum Bay. Platinum Bay is really important. So there's one. This one has armor and weapons shop that is similar to a lot of them that exist in other space stations. And so we'd be able to tap F here and buy more ammo, for example. And I do want to do that. I want to have a little bit more P4 AR ammo. So I tap quick buy. This just buys one at a time. Just bought two. That'll work. Oh, excuse me. Other players in a hurry. But there's the Kasaba over here. That's clothing items that you could buy. And then back in here, I believe that there is, yeah, so over here is a weapon shop where you can buy different guns. And then across the way over here is a ship weapons shop. And that's the main floor here, but you can go upstairs in the Galleria as well, and up here on the left is the admin. Oh, but look, this is another one of those security kiosks where you can pay off your crime stat. But the admin area, this is where you can buy and sell commodities. So if you ever want to get into commodity trading, this is the type of a location where you would buy and sell those kinds of commodities. We won't get into commodity trading in this guide. That's a little bit more advanced than a brand new player guide. But if you're interested in commodity trading, there's a lot of good videos out there. But I need to get that ammo I just bought, so go up to a storage access kiosk, and I'm just going to double click those, and now I'm fully equipped, and I put the other one in my backpack, so I've got one extra mag on me as well. But let's head back to the elevator. So now we're back down here on the hangar and habs level, and that was the whole space station. So let's now go back to the ASOP terminal, and I want to show you how you would call a ship if you are calling a ship from ASOP not at your home location. So if I tap F here, notice I can retrieve my ship, right? And I do want to do that. So if you do not have a hangar spawned here already, like if you were to go to the elevator and you don't have a hangar, then you will have to retrieve a ship like I just did. So you can see the ship on the screen. But this frequently causes the ships to fall through the floor, and when I go to the hangar, it will explode. So what I want to do is immediately store it. Okay, what that does is it spawned my hangar and stored the ship, and now I can go to the elevator. And so when I go in the elevator, now it'll show that I do have a hangar here, and I can scroll down to the bottom, and there it is. So I'm going to click there, and this will take me into the hangar. Now you would really only need to call the ship up and store it like that if you didn't already have a hangar at this location, like if you logged in and you didn't have a hangar, but it's always best to call the ship from your hangar. Okay, let's do a bounty hunting contract, the intro one. So I already picked it up, and as you can see, this is a very low risk target, and this should just be a single ship that I need to take out. So this is another way that we can earn more money, bounty hunting. And so this is the entry level contract, and so once I complete this, it'll open up a whole lot of other opportunities. Alright, hangar request complete, so the doors are opening, and notice if I tap K, this will activate VTOLs, and on the Aurora it's like little fan engines on the bottom wings, which is kind of cool. But most ships have VTOL engines that tapping K will activate and gives you a little bit more power with the upward lift. I'm going to tap K again to close those VTOLs. I'm going to tap N to retract my landing gear. And there we go. We're in space, leaving Seraphim Station. I'm going to briefly hold B to go into nav mode. And notice it's not calibrating because I think it still has my quantum routed to Seraphim Station. So I'm going to go ahead and tap F2, and yep, it's still routed, so I'm going to cancel the route to Seraphim Station, click on target's last known location, and then route to that location, which is out on Daymar. And there we go. And now I can just go ahead and activate my quantum drive. Ooh. A little bit of frame stutters there, but this is Daymar, the dark side of Daymar, but notice I can just jump straight to the next part of the route, which is the target's location, and this is going to now jump me around the moon. And all I did was had my nose pointed at the quantum marker, and as soon as it was fully calibrated, I left clicked, just like any other traveling. It's jumping me around the moon, and thankfully we are on the light side of the moon for this bounty. Daymar happens to actually be one of my all-time favorite moons. Fair warning, however, is Daymar is also a very popular place for PvP, so if you are not interested in getting involved in PvP yet as a new player, Daymar is one to maybe avoid to some degree. But now let's head into this last known location of our target and complete some ship combat. So I'm going to move in close to the target's location, and once I'm close enough, the system will register that I'm in the area and the objective will change. There we go, objective complete, moving to the security post. And so now I need to scan the area. I'm going to hit tab to send out pings, and notice my target is right up here. So neutralize this target, and he should be in a small little ship. Once we get close enough to him, we will be able to target him. And there we go. So we can tap T, and notice now I have target locked him, and he's in a small little origin ship. And he's about 5 clicks out, so I'm going to click middle mouse button actually, and this is going to activate missile mode on my ship. And you want to wait until it audibly tells you that missiles are locked. And they can be really buggy, to be honest. Missile locked. There we go. Target acquired. As soon as it says target acquired, I clicked left click, and that fired off a single missile, which is going way to the left. Oh, there we go. So the missile hit. It just took a really weird route to get to him. And then I clicked middle mouse button again to go into SCM, or to guns on mode. And now notice the little green pip there. So I want to point the nose of my ship right at that little pip. And if you don't see that pip, like it just went away, I'm too far away. I could increase power to my radar by assigning a new power pip there, but my radar's okay for now. So I'm just gonna get closer to my target. Once I'm close enough again, that pip appears, and I want to point the nose of my ship right at that pip. And that's helping me lead my shots. Okay, and so once it's green, that means you are aimed right at the right spot, that your shots will hit the target. Now he's really not fighting back here. I'm trying to wake him up, but not wanting to fight, so we'll just go ahead and finish him off, I think. Normally they'll fight back at you a little bit, but these intro level targets in the bounty world are pretty simple, but yeah, he's heading straight towards the ground, so let's finish him off before he gets into the armistice zone. Well, there's no armistice zone at the security post, but I don't want to get too close to the security post. There we go. So he is down. Mission complete. So that was kind of a sad, sorry little fight from that guy. Normally they're a little more intense than that. That's a security outpost. If I get too close to that, turrets could start shooting at me. So we're gonna back away from that security outpost, and notice it says I'm leaving private property, no longer trespassing. But how about we go ahead and land on this moon? You can land on any planetary surface in the game, whether it be a planet or a moon. You just want to be mindful of coming in too fast. Gravity, if the atmosphere is thick, like on a planet, you'll slow down real quick, but on a moon like this, I could easily just slam right into the ground because there's very low gravity. So I'm going to ease in close to the ground here. I'm going to tap N to extend my landing gear, and we're going to go ahead and land right here on the surface of Daymar. There we go. And now that we're landed, I'm going to tap I to turn off the engines. And let's hop out of the ship for a second. I want to show you a couple of things. So we'll open the door and head out onto the surface of this moon. Now I want to make sure that I have my helmet on before I do that, so always have your helmet on when you're flying down around a moon. And because there's no atmosphere here. But notice the gravity is really low, so if I run and jump like that, the gravity is a lot lower here on Daymar than it is on ArcCorp or the other planets. And that's because it is a moon, obviously. Let me show you something in the Mobiglass. So first F2, and let's look at the contracts, because now we have officially completed both a hauling and a bounty level. And because we completed the bounty hunter intro contract, if we go into offers, we can see that there's another target offered, and this is another single-seater craft, and that one pays 19,000 credits. So that's another way that you can make money now that you've completed the first one. All right. So, but while we're in the Mobiglass, let me show you under health or home. You can see first that it is dangerous to take my helmet off on this moon. The gravity is only 0.35 of gravity on the other planets, and it shows other health indicators as well. But yep, that's how you can check to see if it's safe to take off your helmet. All right, back in the ship, let's go ahead and pick up another contract. I'd like to complete a intro mercenary bunker contract. So if we go under mercenary tab here, and one of the contracts is going to, let's go for this one right here. Exciting new opportunity with Foxwell. So this is going to build us some rep with Foxwell. This contract has us going to a certain outpost and taking out outlaws at security post Lesbin on Selen, which is a different moon. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that and hit track. This is just another type of way that you can make money and build rep in the Stanton system. Oh, security post Sharga, I guess. So we're going to fly over the surface of this moon. Switch into nav mode and head up out of the very thin atmosphere Daymar has. There we go, quantum drive is online, so I'm going to tap F2, click on the mission marker up here in the top right corner, which happens to be over on Selen, And then we're going to click route, and that's going to jump us around Crusader, it looks like. So jump over to a marker above Crusader and then on to Cellin. 2 jumps, or 3 I guess. Okay, here we are at Cellin. Jumping into the security post location on Cellin now. I'm right-clicked and zoomed in. You can see the security post there. Some security posts will not like it when you get nearby. If you get a trespassing warning in the top of your screen, then there's a likelihood that they will be firing turrets at you, and that does happen with some mercenary contracts, not all of them though. And it looks like I am not getting the trespassing warning here. Oh, but I did black out. So gravity force, G-force can cause you to black out like that. Just pause for a second. Don't get too close to the ground when you're coming in for that reason right there. But we'll slowly come in, hitting tab every once in a while to see this little outpost. So I'm going to extend landing gear and land a little ways out from this outpost, and then we'll go in on foot.
Landing gear deployed.
Here we go.
Engines.
Now, before we go in on this FPS combat contract, I do want to spend a couple of minutes here outside of the ship going over some basic combat. And always close your ship up. But let's go over some basic FPS lessons as it pertains to this game, like what keys you use to do what. So tapping 1 or 2 is going to pull out a gun. I just have 1 gun, so it doesn't matter right now. And then there are a few things. If I right click, remember that aims, and then Q and E are going to toggle leaning left or right. Tap C to crouch, and that's a toggle. So C to stand up, C to crouch. And then if I tap Control, that's actually going to lay down like this. And then I can hit spacebar to stand back up into a crouch position, and spacebar again to stand up all of the way. Tap 3 pulls out my med gun, and if I tap B, that will aim the med gun at myself, and then I can left click to heal myself. All right. And then tap 4 pulls out a med pen, and if I left click, that will heal myself as well. So those are some basic skills you need to know as we're going into some FPS combat here. So, man, it's beautiful out here though, right? Look at that. That's Crusader in the distance. Let's do this bunker mission now. So the mission is to clear out hostiles, but don't harm any allies and don't harm non-combatants. All right, these guys are hostiles. There we go. Oh, and I took some shots. So I'm leaning. There we go. That guy's down. I think that was everybody up here on the surface. Yeah, everybody else is down in the bunker. So notice I have a little bit of lower health, 88%. So I'm going to tap 3 to pull out my med gun, tap B to bring it to my arm, and then left click to heal myself back to 100%. Now with these 2 guys down, let's do some proximity looting by tapping I. And notice that over in the right hand panel, there are 2 corpse markers. So I would be able to, I'm going to take these med pens by shift click. I'm going to take this grenade, shift click, and I'm going to double click that one to put it on my chest. So now I have a grenade on my core armor. And then this other guy seems to have kill shot ammo, which is a good secondary gun, but his weapon is not here. So where is his gun? Sometimes in these low gravity environments, yep, there it is. They get thrown up into the air and just happen to stay there. So the tractor beam is helpful. So there we go. There's the kill shot rifle. I'm going to go ahead and equip this by tapping F. And notice that I now have a kill shot rifle as well. I'm going to briefly hold R, and now I have 2 guns. And I want to grab his kill shot ammo real quick. Shift click. And now we have a kill shot on our back, as well as my P4 AR and ammo for both guns. 44 shots and 0 mags. So notice I can't do any refills, so I want to put these kill shot mags on my core armor by double clicking them. I want 2 there, so I'm gonna make sure my ammo is all good. So now I have 90 rounds on my chest that I could reload with this kill shotgun. I'm gonna do Alt +1 to do some repooling of the mags real fast, and we're heading down into the bunker now. There's 40% of hostiles remaining down here. And we don't want to shoot anybody that is a non-combatant. Otherwise you will get a murder charge, a crime stat, and actual player bounty hunters will come hunt you down and you will go to prison. So gotta be very careful who you shoot on these bunker missions. So only shoot the guys that look like the bad guys. This guy right here. Okay, and see, once you get enough of the hostiles down, you do get little markers so that you can see where the rest of them are, which is nice and helpful. Stand back up, dude. Come on. So I'm going to tap 1 here and switch to my other gun.
Today just got interesting. You got it.
2 more targets. One is downstairs and one's right over here.
Yeah, I got ya. Okay, let's do this. Ah, damn it.
Alright, taking shots. So let's pull out the med gun by tapping 3. I'm going to take some cover over here.
Yeah, you owe me though.
Kill shot. There we go. Last guy.
Someone just got blasted. I need a med van quick.
There we go. Contract complete. So now we've completed our intro to bunker mission, and there will be a lot of other bunkers. Look at all these guys, including the security, are all dead here. We weren't fast enough. But if I tap I can do some looting. I could technically grab any of these guns, the ammo, the armor, any of it. So, and notice I can click through the different corpse markers, including some loot boxes that are nearby, and pull things out of those loot boxes, like the beer. Now notice we need to leave within 30 minutes of finishing the contract, or we will be considered trespassing and the turrets will destroy our ship. So 30 minutes is a lot of time. You can spend time down in the bunker doing some looting if you'd like. But there we go. So now we have a kill shot rifle and some grenades that we picked up on this bunker run. Well, let's head back to the ship now. Now back in the ship, one of the things that I still need to show you is what happens when you die. So what we're going to do here is I am just going to go ahead and crash my ship into the ground. My ship will explode, my character will die, and I will regenerate wherever I have my spawn set, which in this case happens to be Seraphim Station. So let's go ahead and crash into this mountain, just for demonstration purposes. Alright, there we go. So my character has experienced his first death. And because I've set my regeneration at Seraphim Clinic, my character's body will be regenerated there, and I will spawn after a couple of minutes. And see, I have spawned at Seraphim Clinic now, and if I tap Y, I will exit the hospital bed. So you spawn in a medical bed here at the station where I set my regeneration. Alright, now notice I have all of my stuff except for the items that were in my backpack. Everything that was equipped to my body, including weapons, med pens, and ammo, I still have, but not the contents of my backpack. That's how it's working right now. It is not going to stay that way forever, just be fair warned. My death marker, though, is way over there. That little marker tells me where my corpse is, and if I had something really important in my backpack, I could go get my ship, fly over to my corpse, and get the things out of the corpse into my backpack. But notice when you regenerate, it sometimes gives you these like white flight suit with a horizon helmet. Okay, so be fair warned though, this is not how it's going to work forever. You will not always regenerate with all of your items automatically. But now let's head over to ASOP terminals here and claim our ship, because our ship is destroyed. It's gone, I need a new one. So if I come to the fleet manager here, notice I would be able to, it says unknown, sometimes it says destroyed, but I would be able to click claim here, and that's going to, if I click claim, I can hit file a claim, and in almost 6 minutes I will have a new ship, and that time depends on what ship you have. I can also pay a little bit of money, and that will speed up the claim time to just a little over a minute. So I'll go ahead and pay that expedite fee. But this is not going to be how it works in the next patch. In 4.8 it is changing a lot, so let me explain that here as well. Oh, hey dude. Kill shot. Nice. Okay, so this is in 4.8, and this is what it's going to be looking like. Notice I'm in my main account. I have a lot of ships that I've purchased in the game. And how it's going to work is, notice I can only have 25 ships stored at a certain location. I have 3 here now. If I check this box, it shows all of the ones that I have stored at this location. But let me claim an Aurora Mark II, and if I hit claim here now, what it's going to do is I can either claim an insured loadout by paying a small fee, or I can claim the default loadout. The insured loadout, what the purpose of that is if I have changed the weapons or the components, I want to insure it. Otherwise, if I click claim default loadout, I do not get all of those ship upgrades back. So I'm going to claim the insured one, not the default loadout, and then I'd be able to retrieve the ship. But notice that it has this little button here. If I show the local ships and, oh, let me get rid of Aurora out of the search bar. There's this button that says Ensure Loadout. So if I have something here on like the Shiv that I want to store the components, I want to have that insured, I'm going to click Ensure and Confirm. So then when I accidentally crash or blow up that Shiv and I go to claim it, I can claim the insured loadout and get the ship back with those upgraded components. All right, that's how that's going to work. Another important thing to know as a new player is how you travel to a different system. We have 3 systems in the game right now, Nyx, Stanton, and Pyro, and notice on the star map there's the Pyro Gateway and the Nyx Gateway. There's also Terra Gateway, and the Nyx Gateway is not, that's technically going to be the Magnus Gateway, so as they develop other systems these will change some, but I'm currently sitting at the Pyro Gateway station. I'm in the mole, I'm heading to Pyro to do some mining, and I just jumped out of Quantum here at the Pyro Gateway station. But notice, I've got a jump point detected visible over here near the station. If I go into nav mode, I can see those little arches that just appeared by the jump point, and I want to head that direction in nav mode. Now if you look up at my MFDs here, you can toggle between the different MFDs with the arrows, but the Diagnostics MFD shows you all the components that your ship has. You want to make sure that you have a jump module installed and that you don't accidentally remove that. A jump module is different than a quantum drive. Alright, you need the jump module in order to jump through wormholes to go to a different system. So with that jump module installed, I'm now heading here towards the Pyro jump gate in nav mode. Okay, and as I'm getting closer, I'm flying between these arches. My speed is going to be pretty high, and if I hold B and go into SCM mode for just a second, it slows me down big time, but you need to be in nav mode right here in the final arch area for it to tune to you. And once the tuning is complete and it realizes you have met the entry-level requirements, then you're able to activate the jump point. Just double click a couple of times and that's going to activate the jump gate. And now the wormhole will open in front of you. It's actually really beautiful. And so you just hold steady right here and it will automatically pull you in. Here we go. Now once you're in the wormhole, you want to fly in the middle and don't hit the walls. So just gently, carefully aim. You do not need to be pushing W, it is doing all of the speed itself. There are pillars that you want to avoid. and then after a minute you find the end. Oh, and it jumped us right into the back of the Pyro wormhole. That's fantastic. Okay, and now we are in Pyro. So we just jumped through a wormhole between Stanton and Pyro, and now we are in the Pyro system, which again is a lawless system. It's very beautiful, but you do want to be careful here, especially as a new player. Now in the final few minutes here, I want to show you a couple of very useful websites. The first here is Erkul.games. You can use this website to select your ship. I've got it selected to Avenger Titan, and notice that I could play around with different types of weapons loadouts, selecting different weapons that could fit onto my ship, like these NDB-30s, which are a fantastic gun. I can see how that would affect my DPS, damage per second, as well as the alpha damage. I can look through different types of shields, power plants, as well as coolers and quantum drives to experiment to see what I might like to fit in my ship. And once I select something here, I can also click on Stanton Shops and see where it's sold. Notice this one is sold at Crew L1 for $35.9 and at the Platinum Bay. So that's how you know where certain components would be sold. If you click on the ship picture again, you can see certain stats about the ship. Notice the HP, the health points of this ship, the different speeds and maneuverability, as well as the cargo capacity of the various ships. Another very useful website is the Star Citizen Wiki. This one, or Star Citizen Tools, and there's various things you can click around on and explore to learn about the various nuanced things of the game. I like this tab that has to do with purchasing ships in-game, because many ships can be purchased in-game with in-game Alpha UEC. You do not need to buy ships with real money unless you really want to. You can buy a lot in the game, and this site shows you where you can find them, where you can buy them, and how much they cost. Another very useful website that I use all the time is called Universal Item Finder. Notice it's here as finder.seastone.space. You can come in here to the Universal Item Finder and literally type for anything, any item that exists in the game, like this Zephyr quantum drive, for example. This is a type of stealth quantum drive, and this would show how much it costs and all of the different locations where I would be able to buy it. You can use this for really any item in the entire verse. You can search for all sorts of very odd little frivolous things. For example, let's see if we can find some ice cream. Let's say I'm in the mood for some ice cream, specifically some coffee ice cream. If I click on that, I can see all of the various places where I can go buy that specific item. Every citizen's story begins with small steps. Your first flight, your first landing, your first bounty, your first jump into the unknown. But out here, every moment can become something unforgettable. You've learned the basics now, but this is only the beginning. There are multiple star systems waiting for you. Game loops we didn't cover, like mining, salvaging, trading, and others. There are friends to meet, challenges to face, and stories only you can create. So take what you've learned here, head out on a solo adventure or find your crew, chart your course, and make your mark among the stars. I'll see you out there, pilot. Welcome to the verse.